We all have a superpower. We do. If you don't know what it is, go find it. And it's our job as leaders to put the people where their superpowers can just shine every day naturally. Always nip people for saying training. I don't do training because it's just an event. It's one time. It's really about development, coaching, which is it's just ongoing. I don't promote someone just because they're performing like in sales. They always hit their sales numbers. Well, there has to be some other intangibles there.
How should we build a balance between trust and performance? Say like maybe someone who's not performing like that normal is a better fit for promotion.
Yeah, I always use this formula.
Hello everyone, this is Michael Ocean, founder and CEO of Sell Me the Spend. Today I'm super excited because I have Eric Stavola on the call. He's a former CEO and CIO with 20 plus years of leadership experience. He's an expert in digital transformation and business storytelling, and we're going to get into that. And currently is the VP of Managed Service Sales and Programs at Visual Edge. How are you doing, Eric?
Doing great, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Eric, would you like to share a little bit about your journey? How did you end up in sales?
Yeah, I think it's funny that I would have never thought at my age, like ending up in sales, but I think we all do that at some kind, right? You sell yourself, you sell your abilities, you sell just the opportunity to be in the room. But for me, football is a big part of my life. You'll see it from my background, just the teachings. And the reason being is it's an amazing sport that it will humble you or reward you, and it will challenge you any given day. And I thought the closest thing to that was sales on a given basis. So I started out in I got done playing, came back from Europe from playing football over there. My brother was always in sales, made good money kind of in the copy industry. And I remember getting into that just as a start. Michael, I hated it. I hated it. I was like, man, I'm out. This is like I gotta be kidding. I remember cold calling one day, right? So my training, when I first got there, they flipped the phone book at me and they watched me watch. They said, this is the greatest movie you ever see. It was Glengarry Glen Ross. It was so depressing.
No.
Like, I thought that movie was so depressing. I'm like,
Oh man,
what am I doing? I remember walking in and this receptionist, and she's like, what are you doing here? You're like the seventh person. And just, it made you feel like so small. I remember crawling out of there, and I called my girlfriend at the time, and she later became my wife. And she's like, wow, you're not the man I knew. And I said, what do you mean? She's like, you're going to let someone define your worth? She's like, how much that person probably make an hour? Like $8, $10 an hour? Like, do you think they like their job? Are you curious about why she acted that way? Because that you have an opportunity every day just to be curious about the people you interact with. I remember that so vividly. So I remember getting a rose. I brought it back to her. I said, hey, you're having a worse day than I did. She just broke down crying. Ended up selling her something like a few months later. And I'm like, this business. But every day it's something different. I think that, your work is what you make of it. But for me, I just love the conversations, the characters you work with, and the opportunity to really help people every day. So that's how I got into it.
All right. Look, I love this story. And it seems like your wife has been the best coach, coaching the coach, because you're a football coach. You've been around doing this, but look, we shared a similar, story, and my first sales job was so horrifying. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? How did I end up in this mess? So sometimes people joke around and say, hey, your company name is Sell Me the Spend. It's like, trust me, I don't promote Sell Me the Spend or boiler room environment. It's just that, to poking a reality, like we actually don't want to pursue people. We want to get to know people. See what problems they're really dealing with. And your example might sound simple, but it's actually very deep. Like, just go back and see what's going on. Like, try to connect with someone. It could be your friend, of course. Look, at the end of the day, it's about revenue. We want to bring the revenue. But your life as a seller becomes so much easier, even mentally. You feel like so much empowered that, by connecting with people, rather than just like really focusing on, okay, I need to cold call. This is the best scenario. This is the worst scenario. Let's follow the playbook. It's just by trying to understand like what people are going through. Of course, it's different level from cold calling a gatekeeper. I hate that word, by the way, but to people with, different set of challenges. Let me ask you something, Eric. You're big in coaching and leadership. Like, I've been following you on LinkedIn. You share a lot about leadership and why coaching really matters. And to be part of being a leader is to really help your team see their greatest, strength and help them grow, whether in the organization or maybe they need to go elsewhere because this might not be the best fit for them. So I wanted to get your perspective about the topic that we are chatting today. It's about internal promotions and really understand like why so many companies, although they advertise, hey, we promote internally, we build your career for you, but they end up, going out and hire someone externally, considering the fact their internal people got this, massive information and understanding of internal processes and clients and buyer personas, you name it. What's the reason behind this?
Yeah, I think companies don't value training. Nobody does. I don't value training. And you may go, wait, you say you were a coach. Yeah, training's worthless. It's an event. It's one time. Like we outsource training. We have an event. It's something we check off. And actually that's not even helpful. I think what we need is something to be ongoing every day and about development. So for me, the end result of training is learning. And most organizations don't correlate learning with profitability. The end result of coaching is performance, and performance definitely is correlated. But in most organizations, if you talk about performance management, I'm in the HR room. I think if you manage anybody, if you hire employees, you should be relentless about education. And I think if you're not relentless about education, you're not devoting time to develop your people each and every day, then it's your biggest asset in your organization. And here's what's interesting. Most people, I learned this coaching football. We all want, like on a scale of 1 to 10, we all want to get people to that 9 and 10, right? Well, I want that superstar. And we actually try to go out and hire that. The truth is, if you take your 3s and 4s and have them play a level up, right? Take your 3s and 4s, just get them to play at a 5 and 6. You will be amazed at the impact of your organization. Like absolutely amazed. And so for me, I just really embraced that as a challenge years ago, and that's it's literally what I do. From that standpoint, try to focus on. And I think for me in my role now, I always nip people for saying training. I don't do training because it's just an event. It's one time. It's really about development and coaching, which is it's just ongoing.
I really love this. It's just like, even if you look at our lives, like we have families, right? We get, some of us got kids, some of us like, me got dogs. And to your point, it's never ending. You stop, would you stop coaching and helping your family develop a better habit, be more successful in life on a day-to-day basis? Or you just say, hey, I have my dog. I just took him to a training session for, 2 months and he's going to be great. No, it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing that built that habit to me. And it's really interesting what you're saying. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you build this mindset through football because you're a football coach. You've seen people in action. You've seen them, being more open to coaching than just training because it's about them. Let's just talk about my team and see if I can get them from like being a, C player or 3 or 4 if you have scaled to 10 and show them a path to get to the top. Why not doing that? That's why we are here as coaches and leaders, to build this ability for our people to get better. Going back to the topic of internal promotions, like a lot of sales leaders, based on my experience, they really struggle when it comes to knowing when someone is truly, ready for the next step, whether it be senior, sales position. If you're selling mid-market, maybe you move to more enterprise, or if you are more interested in leadership positions. So what are the 2-3 clear signs that you said, like in your career, that, yeah, this person is ready for the next step beyond just like hitting their target or numbers?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a great question because first, how do you measure leadership? I'm a big reader. Patrick Lencioni, he's an author. He wrote 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. He talks about the ideal team player says that they're humble, hungry, and smart. So I'm going to take humility. I think having leadership maturity to be humble, but also have high emotional intelligence and situational awareness is critical. Um, and I find so often that we take performance, right? These high performers, but they have low trust in the organization. And I just had this conversation with a team. Hey, how does performance and trust kind of align? You ever think about those and what you look for? Simon Sinek had something that he talked about the Navy SEALs, and they said that low performer, low trust. It's easy, get them out. But then he talked about these high performers, low trust. And he really used the word like, hey, you know who they are in your organization. Like, tell me who the asshole is, but that's always performing. And we seem to tolerate these people. I know on the football field we did, in sales we definitely do. And I really think that it's like that speaks to the environment, and we're afraid. I think it goes to your first question, like I tolerate that because I don't know how to develop the talent that I need. But specific to your question, I think not only is it like humility, I'm saying leadership maturity, but there's two kind of vague words. I lump that up with humble, self-awareness and situational awareness. I think is really important. Then I go to results, right? But that's why I started talking about the performance versus trust, because I think results, you don't just take your high performer and then really, hey, this is what we want, and put them here. The other thing I think we do a very poor job of as organizations as a whole is really creating a vision or pathways for people in the organization. Hey, where do you want to go? Like, because we can walk it. There's a multiple avenues in your organization. And so most of the time, especially in sales, I find that you take these great salespeople and you make them like sales managers or something, and they're miserable because it's not their skill set. It's not their identity. It's not who they want to be. And so I think that to really get into like some traits, I would want, I need someone to be smart, but I'm not talking about book smart. I'm talking about people smart. I'm talking about results smart. I'm talking about not a spinner, right? You go back to leadership maturity combined with someone being smart. That hey, I can understand, I can process quickly. And then I could think a little differently to which I think is the third problem. The third trait is to be a very, very effective problem solver. I think problem solving is very underrated, and be able to articulate and have solve a problem. And the last is this executive presence. I don't lead with that because I find it sad, but people will follow confidence blindly. They will. It's very important because at times you're going to have to stand up there as a leader and have a presence that people would believe in. But it's meaningless if you don't have the humility, the hunger, or being smart with the others, right? They all go in one. So I think it's a long-winded way. I would say humility, situational awareness, shows you, do they have maturity? Then I would go to, hey, are they smart in the way they do things? Like, and I guess a great way that I would go a little deeper is like, do they have a unique process they follow? Yeah, like, is it repeatable? Because if they don't have a repeatable process and it's just off of talent, you're not going to get that to go to someone else. Most people that are very exceptional at what they do, and you can kind of look at, there's a repeatable process that they have. And then, effective communicator with that executive presence, and then be a good problem solver. So I would think that. But it's a good question. I'm kind of processing out loud, but it's a very good question. But I would start there for what you would say.
I love it. Look, I love the fact that you are actually so unfiltered. Talking about like the truth. Like we tend to go after assholes. They bring the numbers. Like there's no problem. Like, maybe just having a few lone wolves can help, setting the stage or benchmark for performance perspective. But can we really expect everyone to be like them? People are different. And to your point, maybe your 3 or 4 can be even a better player. Not only bringing in the numbers, yes, let's build a skill set for them. This is what we need to invest on. But because of the, people and who they are, they can actually help you later build a better team. not only just performing as an individual. We all have those people in our sales orgs. Yeah, they're really good at what they do. They're not that engaged. They're not that helpful when it comes to building the team. That doesn't mean like something fluffy, come in all hands and, always clap when the deal is closed. But you need team players to build a team anyways. Like you cannot run it, alone. Now I wanted to ask a follow-up question about what you just said, because it's really challenging as a leader. So you have numbers. You're gonna run your revenue organizations, and obviously at the end of the day, they say, "Hey, did you win or not?" I mean, winning has different definitions for everyone, but at the end of the day, CRO comes and says, "Hey, numbers are not working." And when it comes to promoting someone from the team, we tend to naturally go towards, numbers. These guys are hitting the numbers, so most probably these are natural, fit for the next role, for a more senior position. How should we build a balance between trust and performance to say, like, maybe someone who's not performing like that lone wolf is a better fit for promotion?
Yeah, I always use this formula. Performance is potential minus interference. So if someone has a potential, then what are you doing to minimize their interferences, right? To maximize, go upward. Nick Saban, he's a phenomenal football coach. He started adapting his leadership style. He talked about being a transactional leader. Are you a transactional leader or are you a transformational leader? If you're transactional, right? Transactional is, okay, we'll go off the standard. Hey, here's the standard KPIs. We're going to put our top salesperson, they're going to be our salesman. And people that have run a sales organization, they'll laugh. They'll go, may not be that. And so I would just say that if you want transformational leadership, you need to actually create different benchmarks that may not yield you the result, but it's going to yield you the entire recipe, so you end up getting that result by putting the right people in the right seats. And that is the job of leadership. And again, this is why you should not outsource your training. You should embrace and create an element for of development. And I'll say the side note: it's not a plug for you or whatever. It's just the reality. If you think you do that now as a leader, if you allow me to respectfully challenge, if you're listening to this, like, you then explain to me the environments that you purposely have created for learning and the environments that you create for performing. And in a sales organization, I'm not talking about your Friday afternoon trainings or your Monday meetings, but like, really, you put them in an environment for learning where they can make mistakes, to fail fast, to fail forward. And honestly, your software, we talk about like Sell Me This Pen, I actually really like that, because it's the first instant that kind of really puts you in a game-like position, right? In a customer position, not just talking through things. And then it helps create repeatable processes. But if you don't have that, where you can clearly articulate the environment for learning, then guess what? You're just saying everybody in your sales staff or organization is just that they're learning on your clients by you thinking they perform. It's the truth. It's really humbling.
Do you believe your reps burn leads practicing on client calls? When it comes to giving them one-on-one coaching sessions, you just don't have the bandwidth, so you get rid of them altogether? Or maybe you notice that your team spends a lot of time on non-revenue tasks like taking notes, updating CRM, or drafting emails. These are the exact challenges we solve for other revenue leaders like yourself. With Sell Me This Pen AI Coach, you can offer your reps role-play sessions at scale while automating one-on-one coaching sessions based on your best practices and methodology. Also, AI will take care of all their non-revenue tasks, like note-taking, CRM updates, draft the email for them, so they can focus on constant improvement while you're focusing on one thing and one thing only: revenue growth. If you're interested in learning more about the clients we are working with or use cases that might be beneficial to you, check us out at sellmethispen.ai. Before we hit record, you said something really interesting. You said training is an event. Yes, we bring someone, they train, we're done. But when it comes to coaching and leadership, it's ongoing. It should be ongoing. Unfortunately, it's not in many sales organizations because it's hard. It's really, really hard to continuously not only evaluating your sales org, but yourself. Am I actually doing the right thing for my people? I want to ask actually a follow-up question about what you just said. You said, look, numbers aside, there are other factors that you need to include in your assessment when you're, helping your reps navigate what's next for them. First and foremost, I wanted to see if there is a playbook. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the leadership, that can improvise. Do we have a playbook or something tactical to follow so we can repeatedly teach even our sales managers, like frontline managers as a leader, that you guys should follow the same thing?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think playbooks get overused lately, but I like the concept of framework. So I think the first mistake is how does your team, if we're talking about sales, how do they identify? And I'm not talking about social identity. I'm talking about literally how do they identify? For me, I'll tell you right now, I'm not in sales, and I'm a business professional. I am. It's not semantics. I value my time as a business professional. I'm not looking for a handout. If you're just going to come up, throw up, and just tell me what you do, pays no attention. And by the way, if you look at the stats, this is why like 80% of clients want a sales or a salesless experience because they're not relevant. 90% of those same people would want more interaction with sales if they brought value. So for me, stop having sales conversations, start having more business conversations, identify as a business person. Look, the way I'm profitable is by helping my clients become profitable. But I don't know that until I can understand more of what their current state is, right? What's impacting their business short term? What are some key objectives down the road? What do they define as important? How do they measure it? And then how does my product or service align with that? How can I articulate and align with that to build a business case? It's really simple that way. And I think teaching an identity to your team is really important. So for us, like that's something that we really do to move forward. I think the next step is I just wrote about this, but it's I just call it a care framework. Once you have that identity, then I think it's something that we don't teach these alpha salespeople, right? They such amazement. They're fearless about what they will do, where they will go, but we don't teach them to be curious. And I think that's something we can all relate to and to genuinely be curious about what's that client's need? What are they doing? Why do they do that? Where? But not curious through interrogation, but curious out of genuinely listening to that person. Because I'll tell you what, if you can simply articulate someone's problem better than they can, that's value. Then I think it's about authentic trust. I use the word authentic trust because I think trust is sometimes people think it's a feeling. No, trust is something very repeatable. Be consistent, have the right character, have the right competence. Relentless education, coaching, I talked about that. And last, if you've done it in that order, if I've listened to that client, and so wait, have we listened to the client? Can we articulate their problem better than they can? Yeah. Okay, have we established a level of trust with them? Yeah. Did we teach them something? Did we bring value? Yes. Okay, and then if you've done that order, you now have empowered vulnerability, where it's not sales anymore. It's just like simply having a conversation. I think it's always baffling me when hey, this is great. I thought it was gonna be a sales conversation. I don't know what that means. So for me, it's like teach an identity about business, not sales. Then you move over to teaching to have more real conversations with a care framework, right? Be curious, the trust, educate, vulnerable, and then lastly, go have business conversations. But that's not a buzzword, right? Hey, strategy, structure, skill, systems. It's four things that I always look at. Strategy is an interesting word. People use it. The truth is, what's important to that company? How do they define it? How do they measure it? What's interfering with it? If you understand that, then how are they set up both from a technology or infrastructure, organizational structure, time gaps, skill gaps that you can identify? And then how do they apply technology, systems? How do they leverage their information? And just let that conversation go. But it's a very healthy conversation. Bottom line is, I guess it's a long-winded answer to say that you do need to have frameworks that you combine in steps. And I guess, you put those together to playbook, but they're repeatable results. The last thing I would say very quickly is we also don't create stages. It bothers me so much. Like we're like, teach about engaging, right? Can you engage with somebody? Most salespeople, they struggle now with engagement because everything's remote. Well, engagement's really simple, right? Entertain, engage, or inspire. Social media's taught us that. So can you flip on a camera and keep me entertained for a minute? Once you get engaged, then how do you create a conversation or a framework of conversation? And are you curious enough to even understand the stage that that buyer's in, right? Are they very focused? They have a specific need, or do they want more value, more awareness? I just want to really understand that. And listen, I have a lot of empathy in sales today because I think sales will never transform. It's exchanging product or service for money. But what has transformed is us, the buyers.
Look, it's the point you mentioned is typically the parts that I see, at least in my experience, leaders don't focus on. You focus on playbook. Yes, this is the structure. This is the sales process. During this calls, if it's discovery, you start by setting agenda. Go walk through the checklist, right? I heard you mentioned a couple of times curiosity. Have a conversation. If you're not curious, you cannot have a conversation. This is going to be going through your checklist. Would it be fair if managers actually communicate this with their team and watch them applying this, like truly applying this? It means the rep got the mindset to really try to understand and learn and be curious about applying the new techniques and learnings that managers hand them over. Would that be fair that maybe again they are ready to move to the next step if the performance is going up through better performance, through better conversations, or we need more?
I don't promote someone just because they're performing like in sales. They always hit their sales numbers. Well, there has to be some other intangibles there that what do you see? What do you do? And look, there's people that will listen to this and be like, yeah, no way would I put my top performing ever in some place of leadership. Now I think that could be a wonderful statement or a sad statement if there hasn't been a conversation with that top sales leader. I had a conversation with a top sales leader and I apologize because I said, hey, I put you in a leadership role and I was wrong. And he goes, oh, thank God. Now this is someone who knows their identity. Eric, I want to go make money. I don't want to I don't want to scrub any pipeline or go over with people. I want to go make money, talk to customers, hear their issues and help them. I want to work with people like you at higher level deals. That's what energizes, not personnel or developing this. Like he knows his identity. Like it was a wonderful conversation. Instead of a headache, there's somebody where it aligns, right? Their superpower. I used to think that was really kind of childish, right? Hey, what's your superpower?
Yeah.
I mean, embrace it. People laugh, but it's true. And I love what it does mentally. We all have a superpower. We do. If you don't know what it is, go find it. But like, what's your superpower? And it's our job as leaders to put the people where their superpowers can just shine every day naturally. And I think good intentions, bad results. Sometimes if by not knowing that superpower, we have good intentions, but a bad result by putting the wrong person in the wrong seat.
I really love this. This is really, really fascinating. I'm going to steal that quote from you. Use it somewhere because this is really interesting. And to your point, maybe someone has big potential and we drag them from being a high-performing rep and say, hey, good management, without really hearing what they want to do. And there's always that little fear, I would say, or big respect for the leadership. I think he's senior. He's been around for a number of years. Maybe he knows something that I don't know. Again, power to those who really know their identity and they know, like, hey, I'm going to be in sales. I want to make money. I want to work with clients. I want to work with someone like you to go through more, complex deals. And this is amazing. But I've noticed, especially when we are looking at like SDR orgs or, more junior reps selling, commercial, let's say, deals, they don't know. They just simply don't know what they want to do next. First and foremost, is sales even a right path for me? Is it going to be my long-term career moving forward 10, 20 years? And if yes, maybe part of what we do as leaders is to just educate them. Just show them what's actually happening when you get to management. Maybe, I don't know who should really own this. I wouldn't say it's HR. I would say it's the leader who's actually been there, done that, seen it, they've been in a leadership position, hopefully they've been in a, seller position and maybe excel in their career. So they can give you a reality check. Look, there are 3-4 paths from, this point moving forward. Which one even, interests you just to begin with? And then we continuously, help you navigate this different, path.
I learned this long ago that track me because it's coming back to this. Information technology will impact a business in 6 ways. It always has: predictability, productivity, performance, risk and compliance, agility, and growth. Well, now let's take those same 6 things with people, right? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, we want predictable results, but you were talking about productivity and performance. Hey, I guess that same measurement of what we look for in technology. This is actually why I think technology and coaching people have a lot of similarities, believe it or not, because technology is worthless. Technology has no value. Hey, I have the greatest cell phone, but you cannot use it. It's worthless. The value of technology is how it's applied. So in that concept, technology people are very similar. How are you applying some of your best people? And I think we don't, as leaders, constantly challenge ourselves that. We become complacent because we take an average performer or we settle for an above average performer, and we don't make them a little bit uncomfortable by putting them in a stressed position or knowing what to do. And so I think that what matters to you? Are you going to settle just for performance for the day? I'll tell you what motivates people, right? Personal growth, recognition, financial reward. And most of the time it's in that order. Financial reward is last. And people will argue with me all the time. I also think if the buyer has changed, why hasn't the seller? So there's something I would say that most people would think I'm nuts. But if you are still hiring comp drives behavior people, you are hiring the wrong person. So if comp drives behavior, what I'm saying is, hey, no matter what, I'm going to sell this. Even if the customer doesn't need it, even if we can't deliver on it, I'm going to sell this because the customer wanted it. And this is why you get, hey, I sold it. You can't deliver it. Guess what? In more services, I think in today's, no. But you get to a stage with I think this, where we maybe have grown to, that I know what motivates me. Listen, to say that to make money, that's like, I'm not telling you I'm breathing on this call. It's like a given. I want to make a lot of money, but what really makes me like motivated is to accomplish something, to really go after something. And I think that if you start to hire more of people that are motivated by being pushed by accomplishing and serving clients, you create repeatable clients that move forward. And I will tell you this, people argue with me all the time. The best salespeople are the ones that are always serving their clients. And the client's like, no, I'm going to buy something from you. You've done way too much for me. Like, I've done that. So I think there's something to that. And I really, really do think that if you're still laughing at me and you're still hiring that, hey, you want a pen? You want a pen? You want a pen? You want a pen? Like, what are you doing? Like really, what are you doing? So I think that you need to kind of wake up and go, wow, I need to understand about how to develop, what to look for. And I think that you if you've been in sales for longer than a year, you know how to do that. You just have to go back to understand and just turn that into a process that can be teachable and repeatable.
You know what's very interesting? This is how I look at it. And I completely, agree with you about what you just said. Like, it really starts from day one. Who are we hiring? Are we hiring people who, do anything and have this commission breath just to go out there and I'm going to hunt them down. I'm going to get the numbers. Just, yes, revenue work, numbers matter. Or we have people who actually care about being in this game for a long time without hurting others. To your point, you sell something, then you see some misalignments with CS orgs. When it comes to delivery, they get surprised, and it's happening everywhere. And to me, it really comes from the leadership and the culture we are building as our sales orgs. I was at this physical event, and they were celebrating a milestone. And the sales leader got on the stage, and they said, look, guys, I'm hiring a lot of salespeople right now. And the most important thing for me is you never accept no for an answer. And I actually wrote a post about this the day after on LinkedIn. It was like, to me, that's toxic. When you accept no for an answer without context, sometimes you accept no for an answer with a curiosity to understand why they said no. That's a different story, because there's learning in every setback. And not everybody's a fit. I truly believe that. Not everybody's a fit. You don't want to build trouble inside your organization, bringing a misfit, even as a client. You should let them go if they're not a fit. But that mindset, if it's about like, you do whatever it takes to get the client to say yes, it means you're building a culture of people who lie, who basically manipulate just to get the numbers met. This is how I look at it. And if you're promoting within, and that's the culture, then that's not a sales organization be in or work with. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
No, the word I think of is alignment. For me, I do this in your next call, or if you're in sales, go to anyone in your business and go to the salesperson, go, hey, when I say the word sales to you, what comes to your mind? Michael, if I say sales, what comes to your mind? Honestly, what's the first word that comes to your mind?
Understanding.
Yeah. Most people would be like a used car salesman, whatever, but that's not the way they are. But they still like what amazes me is there's such professional people doing it the right way, but they still say that. So I think what's happened is, even though the buyer has matured, there's still this identity of sales. And you want to know where we get it? Well, look at the movies. Just go look at any sales movie and look how they're portrayed. And so the first thing that you need to do is create alignment with the customer. And I can't stand it. Like, I go on customer, I'm not here to sell you anything, Michael. I'm your customer advocate. I'm your client. Like, really? Are you kidding me? How about just being, hey, Michael, listen, listen, I'll be very clear. I hope that you buy something from me, but the reality is that doesn't usually happen today. What I was hoping is we could just have an open-ended conversation. I can understand kind of your current state. I can take that conversation and see how or if there's alignment. Because really, where I become very valuable for myself personally, quite frankly, and for you, it is by finding where we can be profitable for you as an organization. That helps me obviously meet my goal of sales. So I was hoping that I could just learn more about your organization and hear where we can go. Right? In that simple statement, whatever it may be, there's alignment. So once you get alignment down, you have a conversation. I love the second word you use is context. So if someone's saying no, I think, what are you doing? You're just saying like you're out of context of that. And I just think that I think the more that we seek to understand, and is there a right fit, then you yourself in sales qualify out. And I think that's really, really important. And the more complexity you have in your sales process or what you're selling, the more you need to be weeding out as many customers. Because the last thing I want, you know what kills me? Wasted motion. It just kills me with wasted motion. It doesn't work. The buyer, and to have a repeatable customer, they want somebody that that's going to listen to them, that's going to build a level of trust, that will bring value, and almost create a different experience. I think this is why more and more people are going to client success, right? You see that. Because pay attention to your customers. We pull our customers. The number one thing that is always humbling, you don't listen to us. So don't take no for an answer. Like, are you listening to them? And maybe the reason you got to know so quickly is you put something in front of them that had no bearing or clearly no value that they want to say yes. So I just think it's teaching to have more listening skills and understanding client needs. And being able to articulate that in a documented fashion that can show the value of your product or service is really, really important.
You covered a lot of things. And two parts that really stood out to me was the fact that, look, if you are a leader, this is what comes to my mind. This is how I translate it. If you're a leader, first and foremost, you maybe need to do some upfront work to unlearn some misconceptions. I've seen a lot of leaders, especially in SaaS, like this is our space. They literally give this, comments to reps and suggestions that, look, don't sound like a salesperson. You're already pooping on yourself. You're a salesperson. I'm a salesperson. Your audience, there are salespeople. Maybe we need to shift the mindset from those movies you just mentioned. Don't say it, you sound like a salesperson. Maybe that's a bad practice we're talking about. Let's start it from there. So to your point, people don't switch to customer success or to other orgs because, they have this negative, thought that comes with the word sales. I would start with that as a sales leader when I want to just talk about anything with my reps.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting topic. This is something probably another topic that you can't have is what's the traits of a successful salesperson today? I did this model that was they have to have an executive presence, be a good problem solver. I don't really care if you understand what you're selling. I need to understand how what you're selling applies in my environment. It brings a lot of variables to what we got. I just think that's important. But I do think the mindset of being a business professional. The most simplest thing I tell our reps is like, if you take on a more of a business professional and they're like, oh, you salespeople, you're gonna jack up the price. Like if I hear somebody just like doing that, like I'm not gonna associate with them. I won't tolerate that. Is this only about price? Because if it's only about price, I can save you and me a lot of time. I can go get you quotes. You want to go get quotes? Tell me what your best price was, and I'll see if I can beat it. Listen, if somebody is going to label you as a sales, and sometimes it doesn't matter what you do, that's just what you got to do. And so at least I can just be intentional. But I will tell you, a lot of times by being that direct or that intentional, you weed out. I don't have tolerance for a lot of bullshit. I don't need you to like me. You will respect me. I will respect you. It's just my common ground. And I just think that if you're intentional about what our goals are, so like even a meeting, hey, we're going to spend an hour in this meeting. We can walk away with one goal. What would that be? I think that's a great way to start any meeting you have. So you can be very intentional. I fail at that too often, but it's something I think is very much needed.
Yeah, no, I appreciate sharing. And you know what? The second point I wanted to say, you actually talk about it a little bit more right now. This is how I translate it. As a sales manager trying to help your reps getting to the next position, it's not only just to reset that mindset and unlearn that sales, is a bad thing. You don't say I'm a salesperson. You don't say I'm selling something. You don't even need to talk about this stuff. Let's change it now. The second one is, as a sales manager, you're selling internally. So the way I look at it is, yes, you have a leadership position, you're helping me, but you have to sell it to your people. Then how would you sell it? Are you going to sugarcoat about like this career progression or about the problems your reps have? Or are you going to be upfront, being intentional, as you said, the same way you are with your, clients? Are you going to really open up and give them reality check? Are you going to be even like open enough to say, look, I don't have a way or a career path for you today. We're going to build it. This is the timeline. We're going to think about it. And I'm sorry that we don't even have it by now that we hired you. So I think that would even, change the dynamics between team members, leaders, managers, senior leadership that builds a big trust the same way we want to build that trust with our buyers. So it starts from our organization selling to our own, buyers, which, who is it? It's just our reps.
I think that's true. And then I also think, to be fair to like all superpowers, right? Under the context of sales, I think there's really three kind of superpowers that I've seen in sales. You kind of have someone that their superpower is a bird dogger. They're just going to get someone in front of you. They know how to do it. They'll get someone on the call. They'll get a meeting. They'll do whatever it takes. They just know how to find a body to put in front of somebody. They may not be great in a conversation, but they just know how to get in front of somebody, get engaged, create an awareness, and put them in front of somebody. I just call them bird doggers. I think that's a superpower. I think it's very, very critical. I think there's utility people, right? We call these like sales engineers or SMEs or whatever. But these are people that can take a warm body, right? Somebody here, and really start to then have a conversation, but not just a technical one, but really a business conversation at a very, um, not only just with IQ but also with EQ of aligning needs, prioritizing needs, and can take that. And the last I think is if you have those two people, you need someone always just maintaining and creating momentum in the account. So typically what I just described is typically a successful organization I see has these salespeople with support engineers, and then like a sales manager is someone who's very good at just making sure momentum is moving forward. Because if you truly have two people willing to solve a customer's need or problem or to create value, you got to have somebody outside of that watching wasted motion, making sure that you're moving that along the stage. Notice I didn't say, oh, you need someone technical or techie, because I think sometimes we just hire, I know we do in our business, we hire the technical person for the utility, and they don't know how to have a business conversation or to pair up with that bird dogger. And so you really don't have somebody in that mix. I tell you those three skill sets in a very basic way because I think it's really important to create that team, like know your team, right? What are the positions you need on your team? What are the stages that you play in? What's the field you play in? And then create a framework. And you said this earlier. I said that it's been overused, but it's true. Then create the playbook around, but make people aware. And I actually think the more that you can do this, you'll start to see success. You won't see it immediately, but you will see it after 2-3 weeks. I promise you, you absolutely will. If you stay consistent, the key is staying consistent.
This is amazing. My last question, if you could give one suggestion to your frontline managers to focus on only one thing when it comes to building this so-called framework or playbook from today until next year, only one thing to basically help their reps get promoted, what would that be?
Focus on their development, but I'm gonna be really key here. Give them tools, like know the stages. So what kills me is look at the metrics, look at the KPIs, but teach them the way you see the business. But then also understand where they're struggling, right? Do you have someone that is making 200 calls but never getting that meeting? So you probably need help in creating more value and engagement. Or are you getting someone who's engaged, gets in front of customers, but they're never getting to the next stage? So you probably have to look at like what are they doing in a meeting, or are you having someone who's just not closing deals? So maybe they don't know how to like really articulate in writing or to really build a business case. But on each one of those stages, there are tools, there are techniques that you can do. And I think by really honing in and focusing on their development, it's the best thing that you can do. Don't replace them. Don't do their job for them. Develop them.
Mm.
I think that is the best thing that you can do.
I love it. You finished on a high note. Eric, really do appreciate you. Really enjoyed this conversation. If someone wants to reach out to you, have a conversation, first and foremost, can they and how?
Yeah. I got a website. I'm still in the mix of wondering if I want to do something on the side, but my day job keeps me busy. So you can personally, there's ericstavola.com, or professionally, I have visualedgeit.com, but both places you can reach out.
Amazing. All right. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as well. All the best and see you soon.
Thank you, sir. Take care.